Then his watch beeped. A code. A phrase. His eyes snapped open. He read the message once, twice, and paled. He stood up, suddenly and without explanation, spilling his chair.
Uh, uh, Excuse me, Mr. McDuck. I forgot to feed my lab rats. Very urgent. Science emergency.
The room stared. Scrooge McDuck raised an eyebrow but said nothing, just leaned back in his chair. Fenton bolted from the room, briefcase in hand. Moments later, in the stairwell, he ripped open the case and slapped a small metal disc to his chest. The armor exploded around him in an instant.
Blatherin', blatherskite.
Gizmo Duck emerged in full gleaming form, visors lighting up. Without hesitation, he rocketed straight through the window, glass spraying as he took flight into the sky. Back in the boardroom, as silence settled over the stunned executives, Scrooge calmly picked up his coffee, watching the shrinking streak of light outside. He sipped once, then smirked sideways.
Aye, go get them, Gizmo Duck.
And beneath the Hall of Archives, the next rift pulsed, hungry. Chapter 11. Summon the Storm. Beneath the bridge, Darkwing's hideout. The rain fell in curtains outside, thunder murmuring like distant artillery. But below the bridge, in the heart of the old lair, a storm far older had gathered. The walls, once covered in dust and old case files, now glowed with hastily rigged intel boards, breach signatures, photos of fallen friends, and a single word at the center of it all: Dimension Tide. One by one, they arrived. Morgana Macabre appeared first, sweeping in through a ripple of shadow. An ancient grimoire hovered at her side, pages flickering with green flame. She touched the worn cover.
The gates we face now may be older than even I have seen.
Moments later, Neptunia stepped from a swirling pool of conjured sea waters near the entrance, droplets shimmering on her scaled skin. Her trident pulsed faintly with bioelectric light.
The tides are restless.
She warned.
Something's leaking across dimensions already.
A loud clank echoed through the chamber as Stigma ducked under the frame, helmet tucked under one arm, a small talisman tied to his wrist. He looked nervous, voice soft.
Chip said to stay brave. I'm trying.
And then, with the roar of repulsor jets, Gizmo Duck landed hard, concrete cracking under his wheels. His visor flickered through scans of the room.
Shielding is insufficient, he reported. If they breach here, we'll have no fallback.
The Justice Ducks were assembled. Across the room, Negaduck watched from the shadows near the weapons locker, one brow raised. He scoffed.
I can't believe, after all these years, I never figured it out. The lair, the whole time it was just right here, under a goddamn bridge.
Darkwing glanced at him coldly.
Some of us don't need a death maze to feel secure.
Launchpad stepped forward, guiding the team toward the central console.
All right, everyone. You're not just here for nostalgia. We've got a situation.
Darkwing took over. He didn't sugarcoat it. He told them everything, from the moment Goslin was murdered to the rift they'd found, from Honker's data digs to Negaduck's blood-drenched survival story, from the collapse of the East Node to the second one blooming beneath a public building. He laid out the evidence, the motive, the stakes. He said her name once, only once, and then kept going, voice steady, even as grief tried to crawl through the cracks. When he finished, silence followed. No one spoke for several long seconds, not even Negaduck. Morgana was the first to move. She placed a gentle hand on Darkwing's shoulder.
I'm so sorry, Drake. I can feel her absence like a cut in the world, a wound that won't close, not until this ends.
Neptunia lowered her trident.
She deserved better. And we're going to make sure F.O.W.L never takes another daughter, another friend, or another city.
Stegmut swallowed hard, then nodded.
I'm ready. Whatever it takes.
Gizmoduck removed his helmet visor, voice softer than usual.
I was too far away. If I'd known, I would have come sooner.
Darkwing looked at them all. At the people he'd once called friends. The team he thought he'd never need again. His voice was hoarse. When he said it,
I don't want justice anymore. I want closure, and I want F.O.W.L gone.
but in his mind the words twisted deeper, sharper.
I want more than closure. I want vengeance. I want them to bleed. I want them to burn. I want them to feel what I felt the moment I held her body and saw her eyes staring at nothing. I want to kill them, all of them.
Across the room, Launchpad looked at him. Really looked. He saw the edge in Drake's jaw, the clenched fists, the faint tremble not from pain, but rage. He didn't say anything, but his heart dropped. And from the shadows, Negaduck watched too. His expression unreadable. But deep inside, behind that fractured grin, was one quiet thought. He knows that look. He's worn it longer than any mask. Neptunia stepped forward, breaking the heavy silence.
If they open all the rifts at once, what happens?
Darkwing turned to Honker, who spoke up, fingers flying across his tablet.
If they synchronize the nodes, the laws of this world will collapse. They'll rewrite reality to match the rift's ecosystem.
Gizmoduck added,
Scrooge McDuck is mobilizing emergency assets, but he doesn't know the full scope yet. No one outside this room does.
Morgana's eyes glowed faintly.
And the magic signatures in this are wrong. This is not technology alone. There's a deeper current, something older beneath the surface.
Neptunia nodded grimly.
Sea life is already reacting. Species near the rift sites are changing, mutating. This isn't a breach anymore. It's spreading.
Stegmut looked small but determined.
So, we stop it, right? We stop it before they open more.
Darkwing's voice was cold.
We end it. Completely.
Later, as the team prepared to move out, Launchpad pulled Darkwing aside. For a moment, it was just the two of them near the old case files. Launchpad, voice quiet.
DW. Whatever happens, remember why we're doing this. Don't let them make you like him.
Darkwing couldn't answer. His throat worked once, but no words came. Launchpad squeezed his shoulder once, then walked away. Darkwing stared after him a long moment, jaw clenched. Deep beneath the ocean, in the obsidian monolith that housed the Shadow Council, the chamber was quiet. Red ambient light pulsed like a heartbeat against the stone walls, illuminating the central dais where Director Ramrod stood alone. The council had adjourned. They had their doubts, their warnings. But he knew better. He stood before a massive screen displaying the Hall of Archives, its subterranean blueprints scrolling beside dimensional resonance graphs. The breach activity had tripled in the last 2 hours. And the convergence? Right on schedule. A smile, thin, calculated, creased beneath his visor.
They think they're planning an infiltration.
He murmured, hands behind his back.
They think they're clever, strategic, united.
He tapped a control panel. A new feed loaded. Unseen footage taken from inside the East Node during the rift collapse. It showed Darkwing Duck, bloodied, jaw tight, pulling a trigger with rage behind his eyes. It paused on his face. That rage. That loss. Ramrod stared at it.
They think they know what they're walking into. They think this is a war for survival.
He turned, gaze sweeping over rows of data, rune signatures, behavioral profiles, adaptive energy logs, and a coded neural map labeled Subject, Negaduck. Condition, unstable, viable. Another panel blinked nearby. Biogenic growth tanks deep beneath the Hall of Archives. First hybrid strain stabilizing. First true breach-born life form. Ramrod smiled again.
But the truth is,
He stepped into the darkness beyond the console.
they're walking straight into Genesis.
His voice echoed like prophecy.
They have no idea. What they think they know isn't even close to reality.
He looked up, and the feed shifted again, showing the faint outline of something vast and writhing beyond the hall's lowest sublevel. Waiting.
And when it rises, there will be no world left to save.
Chapter 12. Archives of Annihilation. The night air over St. Canard was suffocating, thick with static, as if the city itself was holding its breath. From the rooftop of a nearby building, the Hall of Archives glowed faintly, ancient and serene. But beneath its columns, something monstrous pulsed in the dark. Darkwing Duck crouched by the overlook, goggles scanning the facade for motion.
Visuals confirm minimal movement at ground level.
He whispered.
Exterior's too quiet. It's a setup.
Launchpad grunted behind him.
Then let's not keep the trap waiting.
Below, Gizmo Duck and Stegmut moved toward the grand front doors, flanking the steps like armored titans.
Time to knock.
Gizmo Duck said brightly. Then, with a sudden blast of his arm cannon, leveled the massive double doors. The shockwave echoed for blocks. Inside, nothing but silence. Then faint lights flickered on, and a cold mechanical hum began to rise. East corridor. Maintenance shaft. Morgana and Neptunia slipped through the tunnel, water slicking the walls, the scent of ozone thick.
I can feel the breach energy already.
Morgana whispered, fingers twitching with a charge of dark magic.
It's stronger than the first sight. Whatever they're doing down here,
Neptunia said.
it's accelerating.
She gripped her trident tighter. West flank. Utility tunnel. Darkwing Launchpad and Honker reached the inner service hatch. Honker wired the panel, whispering numbers to himself.
Security's weird.
He muttered.
Not just foul, there's a layer underneath it. Older, custom encryption.
Can you break it?
Darkwing asked.
I can punch it.
Launchpad offered.
Or I can reroute it in 10 seconds.
Honker said, already halfway through.
Done.
The door hissed open. They stepped inside, and the temperature dropped. Immediately. Darkwing froze. The walls were wrong, not concrete. Something grown. Something repurposed. This wasn't just a lab. It was a womb, deeper inside the archives. The rift chamber pulsed. Massive. Organic. Alive. Glass-like walls of data veins ran from the floor into the ceiling, and at the center, suspended above an active breach portal, was something half-formed, humanoid in silhouette, but flickering between realities like it couldn't decide what to be. A voice crackled from the far end of the room. Director Ramrod, watching from a sealed control chamber.
Welcome to the archive.
He whispered to himself.
Now let's see who survives the rewrite.
Utility tunnel sector. The corridor twisted unnaturally as though the building had grown into something new. Alien. Walls once lined with storage ducts were now encased in pulsing membranes. Breathing. Faintly. Dim light filtered from within the fleshy architecture, casting long shadows across the floor. Darkwing Duck moved slowly, each step calculated. His cape dragged across a sinew-veined floor that throbbed faintly underfoot.
This isn't architecture.
Honker whispered.
It's biological integration. They're weaving breach matter into the infrastructure.
Launchpad muttered.
I liked this place a lot more when it had stairs.
Darkwing didn't respond. He was staring at the far end of the chamber, where the hallway widened and opened into something impossibly large. They stepped through the arch and saw it. The core. A cathedral-like chamber that defied geometry. Hexagonal towers wrapped in breach tech spiraled upward toward a floating mass of energy, vibrating bleeding color across dimensions. Below it, suspended by living tendrils and pulsing conduits, hung a half-formed creature. Shifting. Screaming without sound. Darkwing stepped forward.
That's it. The prototype.
Honker's voice shook.
It's not a prototype. It's a gestation unit. They're growing this thing from interdimensional DNA.
Launchpad took a half-step back.
So that's the plan. Breach monsters. Soldiers from the void.
No.
Darkwing muttered.
Conduits. Weapons that can exist between realities. They're not building an army to win wars. They're building one to erase entire timelines.
And then a sound. Click. The room sealed. From above, panels closed. From below, doors locked. Energy shimmered as a containment field activated, locking the trio inside with the core. Air thickened. Lights died. And from the walls, something moved. Dozens of small rifts, like black slashes in reality, opened around them. Creatures began to crawl through. Twisted silhouettes, limbs too long, eyes in the wrong places. Some screamed, some laughed. Honker backed up.
They're prototypes. Failed ones.
Darkwing lifted his launcher.
They'll do.
Launchpad drew his baton, jaw clenched. Alarms rang through the halls. North Corridor. Morgana felt it first. A ripple of dark magic being displaced. She stopped mid-incantation.
They're under attack.
Neptunia hissed.
Where?
Everywhere.
Front entrance, outer hall. Gizmo Duck and Stegmut heard the klaxons and immediately moved forward, clearing debris with brute force. Gizmo Duck activated his scanners.
Core chamber just went into hard lockdown. We need to breach it now.
Stegmut nodded.
Time to break something.
Control chamber. Director Ramrod watched the chaos unfold across dozens of screens. He tapped a console.
Phase 2 initiated. Let the culling begin.
He leaned closer to the display of Darkwing fighting through shadow things and breachborn horrors.
This is the moment you understand, Darkwing. The moment you realize you were always inside the trap.
Core chamber. Breach lockdown. Active. The room howled with impossible sound, screeches and distortion that bent light and carved reality into sharp angles. The twisted, half-born breach creatures poured in from the rift scars, shrieking with minds not meant for this world. Darkwing Duck moved like a shadowed blur. Gas pellets dropped, pulse rounds discharged. A beast lunged and he snapped its jaw with a counterhook before blasting it back into the wall. His cloak now dripped with ichor. Launchpad fought with grim precision, baton spinning, crushing skulls that cracked like wet paper. Honker, sweating, used a breach frequency modulator to disrupt rift entry points. But there were too many. Then, desperation sparking. Honker hurled the modulator like a grenade. One rift imploded, collapsing inward with a shriek of void wind, dragging half a swarm back through with it. Darkwing caught the moment.
Good work, Honker.
But the rifts kept coming. Darkwing fired a round straight through a creature's malformed eye.
We must move faster. I don't see a choice. We must kill them and kill them faster.
East Maintenance Shaft. Morgana's hands pulsed with cursed flame. She chanted violently, sending waves of shadow to shred incoming beasts slithering down the corridor walls. Neptunia turned the entire water line into a weapon, her trident dancing like lightning, eels bursting from pipes to electrocute anything with a pulse.
We're getting close.
Morgana growled. A rift opened in the floor. A tendrilled thing rose, bulbous head, hundreds of blinking eyes. Neptunia leapt, driving her trident through its skull. Electricity lighting up the tunnel like a lightning storm. They ran, covered in blood and steam. Front hall. Archive stairwell. Gizmo Duck's armor took a direct hit from a mutated drone, sending him crashing into a wall.
Definitely not in the brochure,
he shouted, firing back with explosive rounds. Stegmut hurled chunks of masonry like cannonballs, clearing a path.
Follow the screaming,
Gizmo Duck bellowed, charging again. Inside the core, moments later, a shockwave hit the chamber, one that didn't come from a rift. It came from the ceiling above. The blast ripped a section of it open, flooding light into the fight, and through the smoke, the Justice Ducks arrived. Morgana leapt down in a spiral of flame, landing beside Darkwing.
Miss me?
Gizmo Duck rolled into view, unloading heavy fire.
delivery, one helping of backup.
Stegmut crashed down like a meteor, roaring. The tide shifted for a moment. Even Negaduck entered from a lateral breach, chainsaw roaring, covered in dark fluid. He said nothing, just started carving. Darkwing nodded once.
Glad you could make it.
Don't talk to me.
Negaduck snarled, then added,
This city's mine to break, not theirs.
and he tore into the rift beasts. For the first time in this war, they fought together. Observation chamber. Director Ramrod stood alone now. The breach behind him twisted, its energy now stabilized. He pressed his palm to a scanner.
Release sequence, Omega Bellum, activate subject, Nullmaw.
The chamber behind him hissed. A sarcophagus-like pod opened, steam pouring out. From inside, something massive and still partly bound in dimensional restraints began to stir. Limbs of smoke and steel. Eyes without symmetry. A mouth filled with echoes. Ramrod smiled beneath his visor.
A being born to walk where nothing living should, the first of its kind, the last this world will know. Time to show the world that F.O.W.L is in charge and all will bend the knee.
Back in the core, the floor shook. The walls buckled. From above, the chamber split open, a massive clawed limb, vaporous and solid all at once, slammed down into the floor, cracking it. Nullmaw had arrived. The team turned just in time to see it pull itself through a rift, screeching a sound that turned blood to ice. It was enormous. Wrong. Every move it made warped gravity. The breach creatures stopped. They bowed,
Shit.
said Launchpad. Morgana staggered back.
That's not a soldier. That's a reaper.
Darkwing stood at the center of it all, breathing heavy, covered in blood, watching their odds crumble. They were all together now. And it still wasn't enough. Core, chamber, collapsing. The walls shattered. Beams of interdimensional energy split the air like divine wrath. Nullmaw, a being half smoke, half flesh, all wrong, tore through the archives structure. Every movement distorting time itself. With each step, the ground shivered, and the building moaned, as if trying to hold back something older than physics.
Get out!
Darkwing roared.
Everyone, above ground.
St. Canard. Archive Plaza. Civilians screamed as the Hall of Archives exploded outward in a blast of black smoke and fractured matter. Chunks of marble and corrupted steel rained from the sky. Nullmaw's form burst through the roof like a god clawing free of a dying sun. It roared, as if it had a mouth, and waves of breach energy rippled down the city blocks. Windows shattered. Traffic collapsed. Whole buildings tilted under the gravitational distortion. Families fled. People scrambled for shelter. And then came the smaller rift spawn, crawling through tier lines in the air, dragging themselves into the city with hunger in their bones. Streets of St. Canard, Battlefront Alpha. Gizmo Duck barreled down 3rd Avenue, armor scorched, laying down suppressive fire. 2 rift beasts tackled him. His armor cracked.
Don't break my tech.
He yelled, crushing one under his wheel, but his balance failed. He slammed into a flaming bus. East End, evac route. Morgana and Neptunia tried to shield civilians. Morgana conjured a wall of spectral flame, but it flickered under breach interference. A rift beast lunged through, teeth snapping. Neptunia caught it midair and drowned it in a summoned vortex. But they were surrounded.
There's too many.
Neptunia gasped.
We're not containing this.
City Core. Nullmaw's rampage. Stegmont tried to slow Nullmaw with brute force, hurling a semi-truck at its chest. The thing caught it midair and disassembled it atom by atom.
Uh-oh.
Stegmont muttered before being knocked through a city bus. Darkwing, Launchpad, Honker, Negaduck. Central intersection. Darkwing fought like a storm, grappling, firing, dodging. But he was running out of ammo. His cape was torn, his body bleeding. Launchpad had a broken arm, but kept swinging. Honker shouted into a portable breach scrambler, but Nullmaw's energy shorted it. Negaduck hurled explosive mines into the rift beasts, howling like he enjoyed the carnage. And yet, they were losing. Every block was falling. Every defense was breaking. Darkwing dropped to one knee, gasping, staring at the chaos. Flames in the distance. Screams. The city on fire. He looked up at Null Maw, and he felt it. The same helplessness from Goslin's grave. Only now it had fangs. Breaking news. Global news feeds. Active.
This is not a drill. We repeat, this is not a drill. Unknown entity has erupted from beneath the Hall of Archives in St. Canard. Massive civilian evacuations are underway. Reports of widespread structural collapse and power outages as far as Duckburg and Spoonerville. Authorities are urging all citizens to remain indoors.
Every screen on Earth flickered to chaos. The White House. Oval Office. The president stood in silence, surrounded by shaken advisors. The secure broadcast displayed a live drone feed. St. Canard in flames, a titanic, writhing horror stomping through the city, and figures, small, valiant, fighting back.
This is your containment breach?
The president said, barely masking his rage. A general stepped forward, pale.
Sir, that's not containment anymore. That's escalation.
The president's gaze hardened.
Then tell me what I'm looking at.
A science advisor, voice strained.
We believe it's an interdimensional hybrid entity. Non-Newtonian structure. Reality adaptive. Sir, our best estimates suggest it's growing stronger the longer it remains anchored here.
Do we have a response protocol?
The president asked. The room fell silent. The general swallowed.
No conventional force will stop that, sir. Not without catastrophic collateral damage.
The president turned back to the screen. Darkwing Duck. Launchpad. The team fighting desperately. He exhaled slowly.
Then pray those heroes hold the line long enough for us to find one.
He faced his staff.
And prepare a global alert. This isn't just St. Canard anymore.
London. Parliament emergency session. A sea of ministers gaped at a projection screen. The live feed from St. Canard flickered with static. City blocks in flames, Null Maw towering above the skyline. One woman pointed to the footage.
Is that Darkwing Duck?
Another whispered,
I thought he retired.
A defense minister leaned forward, voice low.
Is this containment failure limited to the city, or are we looking at potential spread?
A junior aide, trembling, answered,
Sir, early reports indicate dimensional fractures beyond the city limits. Peripheral breaches have been detected as far as the eastern seaboard.
A tense murmur swept the room. An older statesman, eyes heavy with decades of crisis, watched the footage silently.
My God,
he whispered, voice barely audible.
They're losing.
He turned to the Prime Minister.
And if they do, we're next.
USS Bellwether, Mid-Atlantic Carrier Group. Donald Duck, now an admiral in the Navy, stood at the command deck as the crew huddled around a monitor. His beak was tight, eyes hard.
Darkwing, you crazy bastard,
he muttered under his breath. The broadcast showed Launchpad bleeding, Morgana battered and burnt, Stigmut collapsing, and Darkwing Duck standing, alone, in front of Null Maw. And then, Negaduck beside him, soaked in gore, back to back. Donald's feathers bristled. He recognized the stakes. He turned sharply to his tactical officer.
Are we cleared to engage?
The officer shook his head grimly.
Negative, sir. Dimensional instability. Central Command won't greenlight an assault. Too much risk. Breach contamination.
Donald's fists clenched.
They're buying us time. We should be in there.
The officer hesitated.
Sir, Launchpad McQuack is with them.
Donald's eyes darkened.
I know.
he said softly. He stepped closer to the screen, gaze narrowing.
I'll be damned if I sit here and watch them die.
The crew didn't speak. They didn't need to. They were watching legends fall. Duckburg, McDuck Manor. Scrooge McDuck stood motionless in his study, gripping his cane tighter than he had in years. The massive screen cast flickering light across the gold-framed portraits of his adventures and victories. Behind him, Huey, Dewey, and Louie huddled together on the couch, wide-eyed and silent. On the screen, flames, collapsing buildings, screaming civilians, and in the middle of it all, heroes.
That's Darkwing,
Louie murmured.
And Gizmo Duck,
Huey added. They're getting crushed out there. Dewey pointed, panicked.
Is that Launchpad? Is that really him?
Scrooge's cane trembled slightly. He stepped closer to the screen, watching frame by frame as Launchpad McQuack, bruised and bloodied, fought side by side with Darkwing against monstrous creatures that shouldn't exist.
Aye, Scrooge said quietly. That's him.
His voice cracked just a little.
My old friend, still flying into storms with no wings.
The boys looked at him wide-eyed.
Isn't someone going to help them?
Huey asked, voice trembling. Scrooge's eyes didn't leave the screen.
They're alone out there, lads,
he said grimly.
No one's coming.
Louis swallowed.
But that's not fair.
Scrooge's jaw clenched.
No,
he whispered.
It's not. It never is. But Launchpad, he's got a heart too big for this world, and right now the world needs that heart more than ever.
He took another step forward, gaze locked as Launchpad swung a broken pipe with his one good arm, defending a family huddled behind a wrecked car. Scrooge whispered,
He's in the thick of it, just like always. Heart bigger than his fists, and look at him, fighting like the world depends on it.
His voice dropped lower.
It does.
He swallowed hard. The unflappable tycoon overcome with something far older than pride.
My heart's breaking, lads, watching him out there. I should have called. Should have stayed in touch.
He leaned heavier against his cane, the fight flickering in his eyes.
And now he's back in the fire, for all of us.
The camera on the screen cut to a wide shot, Launchpad staggering but still standing, Darkwing half kneeling beside him. Morgana dragging an injured child to safety. Gizmo Duck pinned beneath rubble. Scrooge's knuckles whitened on the cane. And still, the fight raged on,